Hi students, welcome to lesson 44, corruption. Introduction. Corruption is a complex social problem which affects all societies across the globe. India is no exemption for it. Corruption is universal and exists in all the countries, developed or developing, public sector or private sector, and as well in non-profit and charitable organizations. During the recent decades, we have seen the allegations and charges of corruption on politicians, business people, and prominent people across the globe. In India, we have witnessed that some politicians, including Prime Minister of the country, have lost their official positions. Some business people have been forced to close their business. Some of the public administrators have lost their jobs and have been imprisoned. Even though corruption is not a new phenomenon, it has attracted a great deal of attention from 1990s. The main purpose of this lesson is to make you familiar with the meaning, nature, causes and consequences of corruption and various mechanisms to control the problem in the country. Objectives. After the completion of the lesson, you will be able to explain the meaning and nature of corruption, explain causes and consequences of corruption, explain various measures taken to control corruption in India. Corruption is one of the social evils found in all the societies across the globe. It has become so common that people do not mind giving bribes in order to get their works done, either legal or illegal works. World Bank has defined that corruption is nothing but use of public office for private gain. In other words, use of official position, rank or status by an employee or office bearer for his personal benefit. Corruption in one or the other forms is found in all the societies from time immemorial. 2000 years ago, Kautilya in his book Arthashastra has mentioned 40 types of corrupt practices by the government servants. During the British rule also, corruption was practiced both by the Indians as well as Britishers. In the independent India, during 2004 to 2013, the corruption has touched its peaks and is regarded as a decade of corruption. Definitions of corruption. Corruption has been defined in many ways. Let us discuss some of the definitions of corruption. World Bank has defined corruption as the abuse of public power for private benefit. D.H. Bailey opined that corruption as misuse of authority as a result of considerations of personal gain which need not necessarily be monetary. Andruski considers corruption as the use of public power for private advantages in ways which transgress some formal rules and laws. From the above definitions, it is clear that some of the office bearers misuse their power, status for personal gains or benefits. Nature of corruption. In the present societies, corruption is not only confined to government sector, it is also found in the private sector too. According to Transparency International, an international organization, estimates in 2010 opined that the bribe money collected by the public servants exceed 21,068 crore rupees every year. The bribe money must have been doubled. In the year 2012, India ranked 94th position among 176 nations in Corruption Perception Index by Transparency International. According to Corruption Perception Index, India ranked 86th position among 180 countries in 2020. Corruption is found in every walk of life and has very wide meaning. According to Malhotra, cited in Shankar Rao, The following behavior patterns of the individuals can be treated as corrupt practices. First one is bribery. Receiving or asking money by the public servant for doing the work by him in his official capacity or to obtain public benefits or resources. For example, a government doctor receiving monetary benefits for treating the patient in the government hospitals. Second one, show of official power to obtain reward. Public servants getting any object or financial benefits illegally by exhibiting his official power. For example, we must have observed that some police personnel receive mamul from the small vendors selling their products on the footpath. Embezzlement or misuse of public property. Individuals may commit theft or misuse of resources that they are responsible for. For example, the government officials using the department vehicles for their personal use. Fourth one is ownership of undeclared wealth. Possessing property or financial resources disproportionate to one's declared source of income. For example, clerks and officers in regional transport office, commercial tax department, police officers, owners of film theatres, hotels, etc. will try to gain more money which they do not show in the government records. Misuse of official position. Government officials misusing their position to get free supply of goods and services from petty business people. The next one is tax evasion. Government officials purposefully help citizens in avoiding paid taxes or dues to be paid to the government. For example, income tax, sales tax, commercial tax and other tax officers favoring some people either by reducing the tax dues or waiving off the due by receiving some bribes. Next one is helping lawbreakers. Government officials refusing to discharge one's duty on some plea or request which may benefit the other party. For example, police officers not registering FIR in order to protect the criminals by receiving bribes. The next one is fraud. Damaging another person or entity to get benefits for own or others' gain, such as public officials manipulating information or facts for personal gains or by stalling funds and resources available for their office. Extortion. Obtaining money or other resources by enforcing violent or threat. Favoritism. We also call it as nepotism. Abuse of power where service and resources in the private and public sector are allocated to family members and relatives, tribal, religious or party affiliation. Now let us discuss some of the characteristics of corruption. The first one is it refers to irregular, illegal and immoral practices associated with public life. The second one is negligence on the part of public servants in performing their duties deliberately. There are moral and legal lapses. The next one is people deviate from performing their official duty to receive material or economical gains or to gain some physical convenience to their family members. It also involves receiving some monetary benefits for getting both wrong and right things done at the right time. Now let us discuss some of the causes of corruption. Corruption from the time immemorial is present in all the societies and deeply rooted in almost all the fields. There are various factors which are favoring and also in spreading corruption in the country. The first one is economic insecurity. This is one of the important causes of corruption in the country. The poor people, in order to become rich, and the rich people, with the fear of losing their property or money, become corrupt. The poor people may employ corrupt practices to import and sell the products or goods illegally and make money in less time. And the rich people who have a strong craving towards luxurious goods may resort to corrupt practices. High rate of income tax. Since the tax rates are comparatively high in India compared with other countries, even some of the honest people sometimes tempted to use unfair means in order to save money. In order to escape from the huge taxes, people may file false income returns on their income and their property. Some of the government officials are making money from both innocent people and from tax evaders. Even the people are ready to bribe them in order to avoid suffering and humiliation by the officers. Meager salary of the government servants. The government servants receive comparatively less salaries. People could not satisfy their needs or desires, which may force them to be corrupt in the administration. The group 3 and 4 category employees, for example, clerks, peons, attenders, police constables, and so on, relatively, receive less salaries. These employees expect some tips or bribes even to perform their regular duties. New sources of power and wealth. The modern political and economical system have created chances for the politicians to make wealth illegally. The politicians accept bribes in order to favor the business people in getting license, doing business, or framing the laws which may favor the particular company or industry. And the business people give bribes as they have to. Both the business people and politicians encourage corruption. Complex laws and procedures. The laws which are framed and implemented by the state involve complex procedures. These complex laws give scope for the public servants to harass the people and collect bribes in order to get their works done. Democracy and elections. The present form of democracy in India is also contributing to corruption. Elections have become a costly affair. All political parties are forced to spend huge amounts during election period in order to please the voters and get elected to power. Both the voters and the votes are being purchased by the politicians. These politicians, in order to gain power, are receiving huge funds from the business people in the form of party funds, so that when the politicians gain power, will make the policies or rules or contracts for favoring the business people who help them financially during the election period. Black money. Existence of large amount of black money or unaccounted money is also one of the source of corruption. People must have acquired the money through illegal business or by evading taxes and so on. Black money outside India is estimated to be around $490 billion in 2010. National Institute of Public Finance and Policy has estimated that the quantum of black money may range from 10% to 72% of the economy. Social and economic modernization. It is observed that in the industrialized societies with technological advancement has given scope of corrupt practices by offering rewards or benefits. It can be in the form of money, position, or power for doing evil. People change their loyalties and new identifications emerge among individuals and groups. So these are the factors which have generated a favorable atmosphere for corruption in India. Corruption in various sectors. As discussed, corruption is found in all the sectors, either it be the public or private sector. Now let us discuss about corruption in various sectors in India. The first one is corruption among public servants. Corruption among public servants is found in one of the other form. The forms of corruption have been changing from time to time and from place to place. At some point of time, people used to pay bribes in order to get unlawful things done. But in the present scenario, bribes are even being paid to get the lawful or right things done. According to Malhotra, the behavior of the public servants which can be described as corrupt are accepting money or rewards for work done in official capacity, procuring any objects illegally, misuse of public property, illegal possession of financial resources or property which is disproportionate to one's income, misuse of official position, accepting gifts, favoring people by violating the rules and regulations, refusal to perform their duties properly also comes under corrupt practices. Corruption in the government departments have become as a tradition. Ministries like defense, railways, petroleum, power and communication with billions of annual budget give scope for higher corruption. According to the Comptroller and Audit General of India report, the 2G spectrum scam amounts to 1,76,000 crore rupees. Corruption is also found in public works, police, excise and revenue departments also. Corruption among politicians. Corruption has also entered into political arena. Most of the politicians are getting corrupted as elections have become a costly affair. They have to purchase both the voters and the votes with money. Politics not only became a costly affair but also a profitable affair. According to an estimate in 2019, out of 539 elected representatives in Lok Sabha, 233 representatives have declared that there are criminal cases against them, which is almost 44% of the total representatives in Lok Sabha. A submission to the Supreme Court of India has revealed that out of 2,556 MLAs and MPs from 22 states are accused in cases. The Supreme Court of India has made attempts to disqualify the tainted or convicted elected representatives by correcting the anomalies in Representation of People Act. However, the Government of India has passed an ordinance and overturned the apex court's judgments. During the last 3 decades, we have seen chief ministers, ministers and leaders who are holding important political positions have committed scandals and financial irregularities. For example, Bofors scam in the year 1987, Telgi scam in the year 1991, Fodder scam in the year 1996, cash for vote scam, Sharada Group chit fund scam and so on to name. Judicial corruption. Judicial system is one of the 3 pillars of governance: executive, legislature and judiciary. Its main duty is to interpret the laws. It is empowered to interpret the spirit of the Constitution and articulate the basic framework of legislation. It is observed that with the Right to Information Act passed, the issue of judicial corruption came to limelight in the year 2005. In 2010, the allegations of corruption against the former Chief Justice K.G. Balakrishnan have given a wide publicity against the issue. In the judiciary system, it is observed that there is a delay at arriving decisions and often lead to denial of justice for a long period. According to the written reply submitted by the Ministry of Law and Justice in Parliament, there are 3.65 crore cases pending in India as on 1st February 2020. In order to solve all these pending cases, it takes nearly 300 years without taking new cases. Corruption in corporate sector. There is an important link between the corporate sector and politicians and administrators. It is observed that in any government, business enterprises and their owners play a vital role. in the post-liberalization period, instead of decreasing in corruption in the corporate sector in India, it has further increased. If the corporate sector is corrupt, it can corrupt other sectors easily. Hence, good corporate governance is very much needed. There should be transparency in decision making and also accountability on the decision taken. The corporate also has to protect the interests of both the stakeholders and the shareholders. Now let us discuss some of the consequences of corruption. The first one is it undermines morality and weakens one's loyalty towards the society. Due to corruption, the morals and rules remain false. People will lose faith in the morals and rules. It weakens the social organization and encourages anti-social elements. It leads to frustration, disappointment and insecurity among the common people. It leads to wastage of public money and time. Corruption once enters into public life, it will enter into all the fields. Corrupt people will enter into all these fields and will spoil the entire system. Foreign direct investment or inflow of foreign money will also decrease. It retards economical development at last. Now let us discuss some of the measures taken by the Government of India to control corruption. As we have already discussed, the roots of corruption is seen in all the fields in the Indian society. The government, in order to tackle the problem of corruption, have taken legislative measures. Now let us discuss some of them. The first one is Prevention of Corruption Act 1947. According to Section 165 of Indian Penal Code, it can be used to punish the government servants who are found guilty of taking bribes. The central government has introduced this act in the year 1947. However, this act failed to control bribes and corruption. Second one, Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. This act was enacted to prevent corruption in government departments and to prosecute and punish public servants involved in corrupt practices. The Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 has enlarged the scope of the term public servant and included a large number of employees within its ambit. Along with central government employees, the state government employees, employees of public undertakings, employees working in universities, even local authorities, office bearers have been covered under this act. However, it has been seen that member of parliaments and member of legislative assemblies and MLCs are kept out of the purview of this act. The third one is Prevention of Corruption Amendment Act 2018. The Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 has seen limited success in controlling corruption. So the Government of India has amended its 30 years old anti-corruption law, the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, to bring it in line with the global standards by ratification of United Nations Convention Against Corruption 2005. According to the Prevention of Corruption Amendment Act 2018 has been introduced with a focus of increasing transparency and accountability among government officials and also among commercial organizations. Establishment of Lokayukta and Lokpal to contain corruption. Many states in India have set up Lokayukta for investigating charges against ministers, members of legislative assemblies, public functionaries, including Prime Minister. Orissa is the first state to enact Lokayukta Act, and Maharashtra was the first to appoint Lokayukta. Lokpal Bill has been passed in the year 2012-13 and became an act. This Lokpal has been formed to look into the charges made against the highest officials or officers such as Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, cabinet level ministers and so on. Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. This act was enacted in January 2003 and came into enforcement on 1st July 2005. The act defines offence of money laundering as whosoever directly or indirectly attempts to indulge or knowingly assist or is actually involved in any process or activity connected with the proceeds of crime and projecting it as untainted property shall be guilty of offence of money laundering. The Act envisages setting up of an adjudicating authority to exercise jurisdiction, power and authority conferred by its essential to confirm attachment or order confiscation of attached properties. Central Vigilance Commission. A committee on prevention of corruption was appointed by the Government of India in the year 1960 under the chairmanship of K. Santanam. The committee submitted its report in 1962. The recommendations of the committee are: a thorough study of extent, possible, scope and modes of corruption should be undertaken in each and every department and recommendations should be given to control corruption. Administrative delays should be reduced in order to avoid corrupt practices. Citizens should be educated regarding their rights, responsibilities and procedures of the government. Improve or increase the salaries of the public servants so that they will not commit this crime. Companies and business should be obliged to maintain detailed accounts of their expenditure. Officers for administrative posts should be selected with great care. Ban on government servants accepting private or commercial or industrial employment for 2 years after their retirement. Now let us discuss some of the commissions or committees on corruption of politicians and public arena. From 1955 to 1999, various commissions were appointed by the central government to probe into the charge of corruption made against the politicians. For example, Das Commission has been appointed against Sardar Pratap Singh Karon. Iyengar Commission was formed to look against the Chief Minister Bakshi of Jammu and Kashmir. Kapoor Commission against Goa Chief Minister Dayanand Mandodkar. Gover Commission against Devraj Urs, Chief Minister of Karnataka, to name a few. Summing up. Now let us sum up about this lesson. Corruption is an age-old practice found in all societies across the world from time immemorial. The respective governments have been taking various measures to control corruption which is found in various sectors in the society. It is observed that more than 40% of the politicians have criminal cases against them. The government should make the act stringent and should ensure effective implementation of these acts or laws. In the year 2011, various scams have made headlines in the newspapers. Delayed actions by the government to deal with the scams coupled with harassment of the public by the public servants gave birth to anti-corruption movement led by the civil society in 2011. Kishan Babu Rao Hazare, popularly known as Anna Hazare, has launched a movement against corrupt to create awareness among the people against corruption and also to fight against it through civil society. The civil society launched Jan Lokpal Bill movement and insisted that an independent body should be appointed to investigate corruption cases of top people. However, much more efforts need to be taken by the government to bring awareness among the people on the laws, their rights and how to approach government to get their works done in a fair manner. Even the people should feel responsible and stop giving bribes to get their works done, either legal or illegal.